Nobody could explain why so many nobles vanished after visiting the Palace of Veilour. The disappearances stretched across 3 generations. Dukes attended royal banquets and were never seen again. Wealthy merchants entered the palace gates beneath torchlight, only for their families to receive sealed letters weeks later claiming they had departed on imperial duty. Foreign ambassadors vanished during state feasts. Even servants assigned to the inner halls disappeared without a trace. Yet the palace remained the heart of the kingdom. Standing atop a black cliff overlooking the sea, Veilour Palace was considered the greatest architectural wonder of its age. Its marble towers pierced the clouds. Endless stained glass windows reflected sunlight across the ocean like fire. Golden statues lined the outer walls. At night, thousands of candles illuminated the palace so brightly that sailors claimed it looked like a floating city suspended above the cliffs. Kings from distant nations traveled simply to witness it, but the palace had not been built by kings. According to ancient records, the structure existed long before the kingdom itself. Generation after generation, rulers expanded Veilour without ever questioning the building beneath their feet. New halls connected to older corridors. Towers rose above ancient foundations. Entire wings were added onto sections nobody fully understood. Over time, the palace became so large that even longtime servants could not navigate it completely. Some corridors shifted unexpectedly. Doors sometimes opened into rooms that did not exist days earlier. Servants spoke quietly about staircases changing direction overnight. Guards reported hearing movement inside sealed walls long after midnight. Yet every rumour vanished beneath the wealth and beauty of royal life, because inside Veilour, luxury erased fear. Every banquet inside the palace became legendary across the continent. Noble families competed for invitations to the royal feasts. Endless tables overflowed with roasted animals, exotic fruits, imported wine, and golden desserts crafted by the kingdom's finest chefs. Musicians played beneath painted ceilings while dancers moved through candlelight wearing silk imported from distant empires. Most never noticed the smell. Beneath the perfumes, beneath the roasted meats and incense smoke, a strange scent lingered inside the deeper halls of the palace. Damp stone, rotting earth, something old and wet hidden beneath the marble floors. The servants noticed it most. Unlike the nobles, servants traveled through the lower sections of Veilour where luxury slowly disappeared. The walls became colder underground. Candle flames flickered even without wind. Strange stains spread across certain corridors no matter how often they were cleaned. Some kitchen workers claimed the walls felt warm during the night, almost like human skin. Others swore the palace breathed. At first the rumors sounded absurd. But over time, patterns emerged. Animals brought into the palace behaved strangely. Horses refused to approach the inner gates after sunset. Hunting dogs whimpered near the lower corridors. Rats vanished entirely from certain wings, as though even scavengers feared the place. One winter, an entire group of musicians vanished after performing at a royal feast. Their instruments were later discovered abandoned in a hallway beneath the western wing. Weeks later, 2 kitchen servants disappeared while carrying wine through the lower storage tunnels. Guards searched the palace for days but found nothing except broken lanterns and long drag marks leading into darkness. The king ordered silence. At the time, Veilour was ruled by King Aldrich III, a monarch obsessed with preserving the kingdom's image of perfection. He dismissed every disappearance as coincidence or betrayal. Publicly, he claimed those who vanished had fled the kingdom or stolen royal wealth before escaping into exile. Privately, even Aldrich feared the palace. The king avoided sleeping in the oldest wing after midnight. He refused to enter certain corridors alone. Several guards reported hearing him pacing through his chambers at night while whispering prayers to himself. Still, he never abandoned Veilour, because the palace had become the kingdom itself. Then came the Feast of Crowns. It was meant to be the greatest celebration in the kingdom's history. More than 400 nobles gathered at Veilour to celebrate a new alliance between rival territories. Carriages stretched for miles outside the palace gates. Musicians arrived from foreign nations. Rare wines were imported from overseas. For 3 nights, The palace overflowed with music, laughter, and candlelight, but beneath the celebration, something inside Veilour was changing. Servants reported violent shaking beneath the floors during the nights leading up to the feast. Several walls in the lower tunnels began leaking dark liquid that smelled like blood mixed with seawater. Entire sections of the underground kitchens became unbearably hot. One servant claimed she heard a heartbeat echoing through the walls while carrying firewood below the palace. Nobody believed her. Until the first guest vanished, a northern duke disappeared during the opening banquet. Witnesses claimed he left the dining hall alone after midnight. Guards later found his cane lying beside a staircase leading into the older wing of the palace. Nothing else remained. King Aldrich ordered the feast to continue. The second disappearance happened the next night. This time it was a foreign ambassador attending negotiations with the crown. One moment he sat laughing beside the musicians. The next, his chair stood empty while music continued around him. Panic briefly spread through the hall, but Aldrich personally assured the guests the ambassador had fallen ill and retired for the evening. The walls began making noises during the feasts. Deep sounds, wet sounds. Guests paused during conversations to glance toward the ceilings. Chandeliers trembled slightly above the dining halls. Some nobles complained the floors beneath their feet felt soft, almost unstable, as though the marble rested upon something moving underneath. Every musician stopped playing instantly. Hundreds of nobles froze inside the candlelit hall while another scream rose through the stone beneath them. This one lasted longer. Wet choking sounds followed before silence consumed the room, then the floor moved. Then the walls opened. Entire sections of marble split apart down the center, revealing fleshy tunnels hidden behind the stone. Thick veins pulsed beneath the palace walls. Massive jaw-like openings emerged from the corridors themselves. Lined with rows of moving teeth made from black stone and bone, people were dragged screaming into the walls. The palace consumed them all. The cavern erupted into chaos as the flesh surrounding the throne expanded violently through the tunnels. Guards were dragged screaming into the walls. Others vanished beneath shifting floors. Aldrich fled deeper into the collapsing underground, while the palace above continued consuming hundreds of trapped nobles. Survivors escaping the palace watched in horror as enormous sections of Veilour shifted unnaturally against the night sky. But even as parts of the structure collapsed, the creature beneath continued moving. It refused to die. King Aldrich was never seen again, neither were most of the nobles who attended the Feast of Crowns. In the years that followed, the kingdom itself collapsed. Without Veilour's wealth and influence, the ruins of the palace were abandoned completely, left to decay beside the ocean cliffs, but fishermen still avoided the waters beneath Veilour. Centuries later, explorers attempted to excavate the ruins, searching for royal treasure buried beneath the collapsed foundations. The final expedition entered the underground tunnels beneath Veilour nearly 80 years ago. Rescue teams later discovered their equipment abandoned near the entrance along with deep marks carved into the stone, as though something enormous had dragged itself through the darkness below. After that discovery, the government sealed the ruins permanently. No one was allowed near the palace again.